Hey guys, it's John. You're on the JRB Tree Climbing channel. I want to show you how I tie one of my favorite bends. It's here in the orange paracord, both on the tree trunk and on my Longhorn Agile hitch. This is the Slipped Overhand Bend. It's an incidental bend. It's not extremely strong. I would never tie it for an actual climbing application or a life safety application. It's a trivial bend, but it works great in paracord, and these are some of the applications I use it in. But before I tie it in paracord, let's tie it in cordage, something I wouldn't normally do, just to make sure you can see what's going on. I think we're all familiar with an overhand knot. It's the most basic and elementary knot there is. Here's the end of my rope. I make an overhand loop, and I have myself an overhand knot, should I tighten that. If I were to repeat the process with a little longer tail, and bring a bite through instead, I now have a slipped overhand knot. If I did that same thing with both ends of the rope, I made an overhand knot and brought a bite through, I've done it. I've created a poorly dressed slipped overhand bend. Let's tighten it. And this being the main loop, it holds. It's trivial, but it's good enough for rigging. And if I wanted to lock that, I could lock it from unintentional release. I could put a carabiner here or maybe pull the ends a bit. Now if these ends ever got pulled, it could never accidentally release. And I can use the ends themselves as a lock. Like you've seen in a lot of my other knots, like the Maverick, I can take these ends and put them through. And if I get that loop about the right size, it's really unlikely to ever accidentally get pulled out. Okay, now let's take a look at it in paracord. Here I've got it tied on the tree. As I would arrive at a tree, I'd probably have it way up in the crotch, and I'd just have a loop down at the bottom, and I'd bring it down to me. If you watch my video, Throwball Basics and Paracord Presets, you saw me tie this for the first time. But I've been using it for years. And here's how you untie it. You simply pull on both ends. And that works fantastic if you're in the dark, or you've got gloves on, you've got cold hands, or if you're retying it with gloves on, it also works. So how do I tie it? I am going to tie an overhand knot, but I prefer to do it as an underhand knot. I prefer to do it the same way I form the munter. I reach up as far as I can, and I put my thumb in that fashion. That's the same way I form a munter. This is going to look really familiar to you. If you've seen my videos on the munter friction hitch, that's exactly how it looks. See it again. That's how the munter looks. I simply bring a bite through and give this a tug. That's it. Give that a strong tug, and that paracord will be solid in that tree for years. It'll be good for years. If you cared to lock it, you can, of course. You could bring these ends through. That'll ensure it doesn't get destabilized. And then when you arrive at the tree, there's just one more step to unlock it and pull. Now, let's take a look over here on the left. In this application, I've used a slipped overhand bend to secure both ends of a Longhorn Agile friction hitch. Now, if you're familiar with the Longhorn Agile, you know we like to climb on it, we like to leave it on our lines, but these two ends here, well, the one end could become destabilized. We wouldn't want that to happen because then the hitch isn't properly set. We always want to make sure our Longhorn Agile is ready to climb on. And I wouldn't always want to leave a carabiner here, which would do the trick. And so what we can do is use a slipped overhand bend with a piece of paracord to do so. I'm working with a 24-inch piece of paracord. That's about as small as I would use. I simply put it through here, put it through both loops that I want to keep in position. I get the ends the same length, and I form it right here, just as if I were making a mini munter. I create an underhand loop. I take both ends and put them through, and then give this a short tug. Yeah, you could dress that, but I never bother. It's good enough. With paracord, I'm good. But in this situation, because this is semi-permanent, we're going to be leaving this here for, weeks or month or maybe the whole hunting season, depending on how often we like to untie our friction hitches or inspect them. But so I would want to lock it. I'll take the two ends, I'll put them through, give that a tug. And that is extremely stable. You can leave that there indefinitely, and when it's time to remove it, simply pull the ends through and give this a tug. All right, one last time on the tree. I got both ends. This would be an underhand. We could do it as an overhand. We'll do it as an overhand this time. Same thing. Give this a tug. That's all I got to do is just pull on that, and it's nice and tight. It's good enough to rig. If I want to lock it, put these two ends through. There you have it, the slipped overhand bend. Super handy for these kinds of applications, especially paracord rigging. Thank you.